Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session of Spokane Public Schools Keep Learning Series for Literacy. Today's lesson is for all of our third graders out there, and any child who's interested is always welcome to join us. My name is Arian Stunbaugh. I'm an ELA coach at Longfellow Elementary in Spokane Public Schools, and I'm your teacher for this lesson. I'm so glad you are participating with me today. You can still tune into this lesson, even if you haven't seen any of our others. Today, we are reading an informational text called Mountains, Surviving Mount Everest by Michael Sandler. We are going to read about a 16-year-old boy who climbed Mount Everest, the world's tallest mountain. Authors include text features such as headings and captions to help readers find and understand information. Authors also use graphic features such as maps, diagrams, and charts to explain and add information to the text. While we read today, I am going to stop at several points and show you the text features and graphic features that I want you to notice. Today's lesson focus is check for understanding. Turn the heading into a question and then answer the question using the text. You'll need a piece of paper and a writing utensil. Please fold your paper into thirds or draw 2 lines as I'm going to indicate on my screen. Now we're going to label each section. The first section is going to be heading. The next section is heading into a question. And the last column is going to be answer. And then you could draw a line underneath those words too. I'll wait just a moment for you to write. Are you ready to begin? Me too. Let's read. Climbing Mount Everest. The clock showed almost midnight. The temperature was freezing. Icy winds roared by. A group of people huddled in the darkness of a rocky ridge. In moments, they would begin in the final stage of a dangerous journey. They were climbing to the top of Mount Everest, the world's highest mountain. Among the climbers was Timba Shuri Sherpa. Just 2 weeks before, Timba had celebrated his 16th birthday. Now he was trying to survive in one of the world's most extreme places. Making it to the top of Everest was Timba's dream. He would be the youngest person ever to reach the summit, which is 29,035 feet high. Readers, do you see how my red arrow just popped up? This arrow is going to come up throughout the story to help us find text features. The feature that I'm highlighting at this point is the pronunciation guide. A pronunciation guide is often included for words that you might not be able to sound out or is in a different language. That's what happened with Timba's middle name. There's my red arrow again. It is pointing to a photograph. A photograph is a picture taken with a camera to show how something looks in real life. Now, this is a picture of Timba, so I know exactly what he looks like as we read this story today. What are mountains? Mountains are a type of tall landform. They rise high above the area around them. Mountains are taller than hills. They can rise thousands of feet in the air. They are found all over the world, even beneath the sea. A group of mountains is called a range. The biggest mountain range in North America is the Rocky Mountains. The Andes in South America is the world's longest mountain range. Mount Everest, the mountain Timba was climbing, is part of the Himalaya Mountains. The name Himalaya means home of snow. This Asian range is the world's highest. It includes 9 of the 10 tallest mountains on Earth. The author includes a map showing the mountain ranges around the world. It includes the names of continents and oceans. It also shows that the mountain ranges are on every continent except Antarctica. I can infer that the author wants me to know that mountains are an important part of Earth. The red arrow is now pointing to the feature of a map. A map helps readers understand where something is in the world. The red arrow is now pointing at a boxed fact. A boxed fact can add to your understanding of the text. It can also be cool facts that the author wants you to know. Let's read this boxed fact now. Mountains cover 1/4 of Earth's land surface. Mountain conditions. As Timba approached Everest's summit, survival became harder and harder. Mountain conditions get more extreme the higher a person climbs. Air contains less and less oxygen as the altitude increases. Breathing becomes nearly impossible. Thin air can cause headaches and dizziness at 10,000 feet. Higher up, it can be deadly. Humans cannot survive for long at the top section of mountains like Everest. Hurricane-force winds can reach 130 miles per hour. Temperatures can plummet to -100 degrees Fahrenheit during the night. Blowing snow makes it hard to see. Timba was headed here. Why do people climb mountains? People climb mountains for many reasons. Some enjoy the thrill of being high above the clouds. Others like the challenge of testing their skills. For decades, however, reaching the top of Everest was a test that no climber could pass. The first attempts to climb Everest were made during the 1920s. Again and again, the climbing teams stopped short of their goal. Avalanches, storms, sickness, and exhaustion brought them to a halt. Then, in 1953, 2 climbers finally succeeded. Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Hillary was from New Zealand. Norgay was a Sherpa from Nepal. The feature I'm highlighting at this point is a caption. Captions have information near or below a photograph or illustration that gives detail and more information to the paragraph. Let's read this caption now. Sir Edmund Hillary, he's on the left, and Tenzing Norgay, he's on the right, show off their survival equipment in 1953. My orange arrow disappeared. Let's review. What was this called? That's right, it's a photograph. Do you remember what this was called? It's a boxed fact. Let's read this now. Frostbite can happen when it's so cold that hands, feet, and other parts of the body freeze solid. Frostbite can cause people to lose fingers, toes, even their noses. Timba's mistake. Timba had tried to climb Mount Everest before. It ended, however, in failure. I didn't have enough training or proper equipment, Timba said. He was almost at the summit when his oxygen supply ran out. Without oxygen, Timba couldn't think clearly. He made a terrible mistake. He took off his gloves to tie his boots. His fingers froze. Timba suffered frostbite on both hands. He had to turn back just 70 feet from his goal. The next time around, however, Timba was prepared. He had trained hard. He had the right equipment thanks to his classmates and teachers. They had raised money for his trip. Readers, we're going to pause here for a moment. I'm going to have the red arrow point to our heading, Timba's mistake. Let's check for understanding. We're going to turn the heading into a question and then answer the question using the text. Under the heading column, we're going to put the heading. Timba's mistake. Now we're going to practice turning the heading into a question. What was Timba's mistake? Now the answer. While climbing, Timba took off his gloves to tie his shoes and got frostbite on his fingers because of the lack of oxygen to his brain at that altitude. Did you come up with the same answer? Nice work. Let's keep reading. Let's take a closer look at what Timba would have worn as he climbed Mount Everest. Survival equipment, climbing suit to protect against the cold, gloves to keep hands warm and dry, goggles to protect eyes from the sun's harmful rays and from reflection off snow, oxygen mask and tank for breathing at the highest altitudes, ice axe to help climb slopes and break up ice, climbing ropes to climb up slopes, trekking poles to help a climber stay balanced, mountain boots with spikes that dig into the snow and ice. Camp to camp. Timba's second try began in April 2001. Mount Everest that's between Nepal and Tibet. There are several different routes to the top. Timba would take the route from the north, the Tibetan side. Climbers move from one camp to the next higher one and then rest for a while. At each camp, their bodies get used to the higher altitudes. Timba spent several weeks moving between camps with his team. At Camp 3, the team waited for a break in the weather. Winter was over, but there had been a series of severe snowstorms. Getting caught in a snowstorm further up the mountain would be deadly. This text feature is a diagram. A diagram is a picture with labels. The boxed fact says, the climb of Everest officially begins at base camp. Climbers stay in tents there so their bodies get used to the lower levels of oxygen. The climb along the ridge. On May 20th, Timba's team reached Camp 4. Then the climbers headed out on the great ridge leading to the summit. Timba plunged his axe into ice walls, pulling himself up. He steadied himself against 50-mile-per-hour winds, yet he climbed higher and higher. Timba had to move fast or die. Darkness stopped him before he got to Camp 5. His team had gone ahead. Luckily, Timba found a tent. He spent the night frightened and alone. The next day, Timba rejoined his team. They reached Camp 6, one day's climb from their goal. Let's read the caption. Climbers have to be very careful. Towers of ice can fall over without warning. The boxed fact says, climbers use aluminum ladders to cross deep cracks in the ice called crevices. The crevices are constantly opening and closing, so it is very dangerous. Reaching the top of the world. Just before midnight, Timba began his final climb. A headlamp lit the darkness. An oxygen mask helped Timba to breathe. Sometimes he'd stop to rest or to change oxygen bottles. Just after sunrise, Timba reached Mount Everest summit. He was higher than anyone else on the planet. Timba planted 2 flags. One was for his school, the other was for Nepal. I felt so happy, he said. The boxed fact says, it is dangerous for climbers to spend more than 10 minutes at the top of Everest. The body needs to get to a lower altitude while there is more oxygen. There's Timba again in that photograph. Let's read the caption. Timba was the youngest person to climb Mount Everest. Will the mountains survive? Timba survived in the mountains. Now he wants to make sure the mountains survive. The world's mountains face many different threats. Trash is one problem. For a while, Everest was called the world's highest garbage dump. The mountain was littered with tons of trash that climbers left behind. Batteries, bottles, and empty oxygen tanks. Many climbers didn't have the time or strength to carry these things back down with them. Global warming is another problem. As Earth gets warmer, mountain glaciers are melting. Himalayan lakes are swelling up with water. When they flood, mountain landscapes will be changed forever. Let's read the caption next to our photograph. Climbers have left garbage on Everest since 1921. Now people are trying to clean up the mess. The boxed fact says, in 2005, the snow cap on Tanzania's Mount Kilimanjaro melted for the first time in history. After the climb. When Timba came down from Everest, he was thinking about food, not fame. After weeks of camping, he was starving for home cooking. Still, when he flew home to Kathmandu, a huge crowd was waiting. Timba couldn't believe it. I had never seen so many cameras. All of them were pointed at me, he said. Despite the attention, Timba focused on his schoolwork. He needed a good education to achieve his other dream, starting a school in Dolaka. Will Timba succeed? Only time will tell. If you've survived on Everest, however, and reached the top, no goal seems too high. The caption on this page says, Kathmandu is the capital and largest city of Nepal. And there is Timba. Let's read the caption with his photo. Timba smiled at supporters who greeted him at the Kathmandu airport after he successfully climbed Mount Everest. Now you'll have an opportunity to practice turning headings into questions and then answer the question using text evidence to support your answer. We did the first one together, so now it's your turn. Please answer the headings, will mountains survive? And after the climb on your own to check for understanding. If the heading is already a question, you can use it as it is or change it slightly, as I'm going to show you here. How can we help mountains survive? After you answer these, you could always select more for extra practice. If you need more space, just flip your paper over. I have enjoyed doing some literacy learning with you today. Thank you for joining me as you keep learning from home. I look forward to seeing you again for our next lesson on KSPS.